But now, football has changed, and I think our brand needs to also move with the times. That means they don't take Kaizer Chiefs serious, because you cannot be doing that to a club that's actually been selling your merchandise as good as Kaizer Chiefs has. We have this thing of buying these big name players that they are a shell of what they were before, but we still pay the same price tag because we're expecting that one player to be the change in our club.
Hello and welcome to Kosi Nation Fan TV. This is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs Kosi Football Club. And today, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by my brother, Walter. Walter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pilo, so much for having me back. Looking forward to today's topics and Skulumange Kosi Nation. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great conversation before that we podcast, the first one that we had. I'll link it up on the description and also up here. So, yeah, a lot has happened since we talked. And one of the biggest things that has happened since our last podcast was the Kappa Deal. Any thoughts on the deal?
Hey, one get it,
Straight away, Baba. Straight away.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's been, I love our club, man. Our club is content. Imagine in the midst of a World Cup, like everybody's tuned into the World Cup, but Kaizer Chiefs continues to trend almost every day with new stories. And hey, for me, this was the biggest and unprecedented, let's be fair, in terms of us as fans not really understanding the full details of the deal itself. And I feel maybe our club owes us that, because here in South Africa, there's a lot of secrets when it comes to this kind of deals. If it was an overseas deal, you know how much they signed for. We just know the period and what came about with the deal and what they're going to do with it. But I think let's go back with the Nike deal that already we had. Sure. Because if you remember a lot of reports from 2020 where there was seemingly a clash between Kaizer Chiefs and Nike. Not only Kaizer Chiefs, also Barcelona in the same time, they had a similar problem with them, because Nike, obviously being the biggest sports brand in the world, they always associate themselves with these biggest clubs, whether they've been winning trophies or not. But in South Africa or in Southern Africa, Kaizer Chiefs is the biggest club. Obviously signing with Nike is a no-brainer. But if you remember, I think it was 2019 or 2020 when it was our 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
And Kaizer Chiefs actually had it in a design of their own, if I stand to be corrected, where they were commemorating their 50th anniversary. I think also it was for our chairman, Kaizer.
Yeah.
So this was a special edition or a limited edition of jerseys. Now, there was reports in a sense where apparently Nike, their manufacturer, said that they were out of stock because they actually Kaizer Chiefs ordered more. If you remember, some of us couldn't order. I actually would have liked to have those jerseys.
Yeah,
so
they were very nice.
You never have such a jersey. The design was and the fact that it was designed by them, it showed that they actually took that very, very serious. So with that in mind, after they've said that, I think a season after, maybe the same season, Barcelona unveils their third kit, which is the same replica of the Kaizer Chiefs chase. That apparently they were out of stock or out of material, whatever. So that also now started, I think, or steamrolled the relationship between Kaizer Chiefs and Nike, because it showed a lot of arrogance, and obviously there was not really truth behind that story alone, because you can't take one person's design. And even I saw a post, I'm not sure if it's correct, on Facebook there's a lot of football memes. The design was also similar to Atletico Madrid, but obviously Atletico Madrid is just the color, it was light bluish, but it wasn't really that different from the one that we had. And another thing I wanted to add is that Nike is for me is very disrespectful. If you can remember, Nike hasn't really designed new jerseys over these 20 years or so. 2005 now the white and yellow. There's nothing new there.
Yeah, they just,
so you're signing a contract. Yeah.
It's the same design, just the times have changed. Now the jerseys are tighter, but it's nothing new that we see. Okay, this kit is nice, and we can't say, wow, we're going retro every season. It's just laziness. What has been done before, let's do it again.
Come on, because that's what I'm saying, that now we attest with the fact that Nike is the biggest brand, but innovatively they're not offering us anything, and they're using Kaiser Chiefs to sell their merchandise. Kaiser Chiefs sells, Baba. Whether imagine in this last 10 years, sharp or 7, it's not 10 years almost, but we haven't won any trophy. But we are still, the brand still grows. We're still growing as a brand.
Sure.
We understand. So Nike is benefiting from that. And what I've noticed, or the reports that I've read from Kaiser Chiefs and Barcelona, when you grow as a brand or as a club, they wanted creative control, being able to say, like for instance, the one that they had when it came to being able to control the designs and be able to sell them there when they wanted to. So Nike isn't willing to budge in regards to that. So for me, yes, they're too big. So for me, being a foreign company as well, and also being Nike being Nike, I think that maybe blemished the relationship between us and the brand itself. And I think that could have led to them not, or us. Remember, we didn't renew. There's a lot of reports, this will, or even this other channel, I don't want to mention names.
Don't mention names, please.
I won't mention names. Where their analysts said supposedly because we haven't been, Nike pulled out because we haven't been winning trophies, which is false. So this narrative of them, I mean, Tottenham is an example. They haven't won a trophy in years, but Nike still sponsors them. So there's a lot of examples where you can actually have clubs where Nike, they're in the business of selling merchandise. It's not really about only
Tottenham
winning.
hasn't won anything.
It's about brand positioning. But more brand position in Tottenham or in London per se. You understand? They know how to position. It's about brand positioning. And if you had to position Kaiser Chiefs in Southern Africa, go to KZN, go to any other province. Merchandise, your Kaiser Chiefs still sells.
Sure.
So coming to the Kappa Deal, sorry to take that long.
No, it's
the
okay.
Kappa Deal,
some people felt they needed to hear that part because people just think these things just boom, they happened without anything that led to this. Because just to add on what you were saying, it wasn't even only a matter of that thing you're designing it. There was also that thing they've been giving us some warm-up kits like 3 months after the season started.
Oh yes.
So that's
thank you.
That's just another issue on its own. You can't do that. You can't have a deal. You will make warm-up kits for us, and then it takes you 3 months, and people are busy watching, and they're like, how Chiefs is still warming up with the kit from last year? What is actually going on? So I think there were other issues that were there before we even move on to Kappa. We had our issues too with Nike.
Yeah, that's true. I even forgot about it. I heard about that story as well. Because we were using last season's or whatever merchandise that you had, and they still say there's a delay in material and whatever. So that means they don't take Kaiser Chiefs serious, because you cannot be doing that to a club that's actually been selling your merchandise as good as Kaiser Chiefs has. Because Nike merchandise is very expensive. Other clubs, Pirates is second to Nania Konuktengisa, Sundowns here and there, but Kaiser Chiefs does sell the merchandise for Nike, guys.
Chiefs, too much.
Too big. So, Manje, knowing the facts, like obviously, and thanks for that. So those are the kind of things also myself, I looked into it. But obviously, with now going for Kappa, I was very conflicted. But I saw an opportunity in a sense where obviously they're selling us a story that Kappa was with us in the glory days when they were winning cup games. But I'm conflicted. I'm like, hey, what does this mean, guys? So to be honest with you, I'm still yet to but I've seen, when we look at the other clubs, the biggest clubs, in North Africa, in Tunisia, I think Esperance. I think Tunisia, the national team as well has been sponsored by Kappa, and I saw their kits. Then that's okay, sharp. Maybe we'll have some really good kits. But for me, also in hindsight, on the positive light, for me, I think it could be good for us in a sense of being able to have what they always wanted to be able to have more money. If number one, if they paid better money than Nike, that's good. Meaning it gives us more capital to be able to sign the players that we want. Maybe have this thing of understanding why we haven't had a ladies team by now. And signing those players that we need to sign. So maybe it'll give us more capital because we're going to be paying Super League next year in August. So, and also having to sell the merchandise the way they wanted to, being able to see how they can grow the brand, because I also am interested in how they're going to sell Kappa per se with the designs they're going to make. So that's the only positive 4 points nyane engisbonayo with Kappa, but we all are still conflicted, guys. And when you was like, Trip was compromised, yeah. Are we going to buy those jerseys?
I think we're talking this other video I was saying that it's funny how since Chiefs is such a big brand, we've been associating ourselves with the Nike, and anything that's not Nike we see it as bad. Or Adidas, they have some good clothes, but we just see Nike as there because of Chiefs. And I actually feel like Chiefs will just have that effect on Kappa. Uguti Kappa will certainly, I think, benefit more than Chiefs maybe when it comes to this deal, because now people want to prove Uguti Chiefs can make anything big, which is what Chiefs has been doing in recent years. Uguti whatever we touch, even journalists, when they want to make a player big, they will say he's linked with the Chiefs. Whatever that happens in South African football, link it with the Chiefs, it will be big. And one of the people who watch this channel, who subscribe, part of the community, after it delayed Chiefs, I think 2 days later, hey Mpilo, I just bought my first Kappa sneakers or something like that. I'm like, you see, already people are lining up starting to buy izinto Kappa. So I can say Chiefs were smart in doing this. As much as they were changing a brand, they did not go with the other company that was bidding. I forget their name. Castori, yes. So with Castori, they knew good value there will be backlash from the fans who are not happy about changing. But knowing Guti with Kappa, they can sell us what you just said to Guti, hey, glory days, we wore this kit and that and that. So I think it kind of makes us then say, at least we have history.
Yeah. But on that, Napila, I want to, because you raise a good point, because that's why I'm saying I'm conflicted. So when you say smart business, because Store is a big brand in Britain, because I think now he sponsor Newcastle United and all that. I'm just concerned about the fact that Kappa did it really pay? Because that's what I'm saying with this deal, it's very unclear of the money that was being pumped in, or the deal that they signed. Oguti, did you really sign a good deal? Because the Castora would have given us a cash flow that would have made us one of the biggest clubs in terms of finance, or the brand itself was in terms of cash flow. Like Africa alone, because Abu Al Ahly, they pay the biggest salaries or pay for the biggest players. I think in Morocco as well, you have that competition. But obviously Egypt kakuli, because you have the Saudi billionaires, they're pumping money into their football. So us right now, I think it would have given us the impetus to compete in the Sundowns. Maybe if we have a player or two, again, that you have to compete within the market. So that's where I'm saying it's a bit vague for us as fans, because they haven't really given us indication that there's cash flow better than what Nike was paying them. Or maybe it's more of a similar deal, but they're relying on the brand itself, that it's big enough for them to sell this merchandise. So that's... It's here for me. It's yet to be seen if it was smart business or not.
This is what Uches come down. I was reading an article yesterday where she said it's a very lucrative deal. So once people start using those adjectives, it's not she didn't say it's a good deal. It's not good business. She said it's lucrative, which just refers to specifically finances as well. So I think Mina, as a person with a business, I know how important marketing is. If you don't market yourself, you don't achieve anything. And the Kappa, however much they paid, they know they're gonna make it back with the Chiefs. Because for Kappa, it's not about selling a match here Chiefs. It's about Kappa being like talked about everywhere. Right now we're talking about Kappa. Sure. This video is not sponsored by Kappa, and by saying Kappa again, people are listening to me saying that, people will be watching Chiefs wearing that, and eventually it just grows on you. It just grows on you, and by the time that happens, let delay maybe sign 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. There's a return on investment abazoyithola, and I think they will benefit from this, and that's why I think they could have really paid more than Oka Story, because bona they know Guti, this is like putting all their eggs in one basket or something. Uguti City young into sibegala, because we trust how big Chiefs is. But Oka Story on the other hand, they're like, we probably have bigger fish to fry than to just give this much money to this team, as your investor in Burnley or something, so.
And it could have been another Nike as well, where they'll have problems, where now they start pulling out or starts doing things the way they wouldn't do, because what I like what Jessica said in terms of the relationship that they had. I think they parted way good. In good terms when they didn't renew the contract. I think that's why they came back, because at the time Chiefs was big. The 90s we were big, so for them to sign with Nike, I think it's just another stepping stone. Now, okay, let's look at the football side of things. Sure. Signing Kappa, because I had goosebumps as well, because with us having to be rebuilding, this also would, on a positive side, can give us a good opportunity, because we're having everything now starting over. We're not looking what the rest of the world is doing, because again, what I'm thinking of my club, they could have just done another deal with either your Puma, your Adidas, whatever club, because you can still have.
I would have lost it if we had gone to Puma. You would have lost it.
That's my thing.
Days.
We could have done that, but they didn't, because now it gives us an opportunity to say, I wonder what they were thinking, because now we are restructuring, we're starting over, and we're having to I don't know if I don't want to say the fear of the unknown, but I'm yet to see in terms of us having to have this new fresh feel about everything, because now if we start winning and we actually start winning on the pitch as well, and start, the way we school in terms of football terms, that's where you can actually see the Kappa brand as well growing. So with this deal, also it makes sense in terms of our ethos, having to have a culture. So now we can start to see with actually in management it's always been on the marketing side of things. Now we're starting to see a lot of the deals being done in sync. Not just doing it for the sake of doing it, but now they're having to have, like one of the way everything is done within the culture of the club. So even the brand, we're taking them because there's history behind it. We're going back to our ways and all that. So that's a good message they're sending. Yeah.
And they know very well.
That's a good message.
With us as fans, we are more attached to the emotional explanations. Not necessarily. If they just said, oh no, they brought more money, people are gonna be like, here goes them taunges with loving money and blah blah blah. But I think the implications of the deal. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think the money that is coming from Kappa will actually be well spent? Because with me, I feel like there's been this huge disconnect between how much money we're getting pumped into the club and how much money we are spending to invest back into the club and the success we feel. Because in the past few years, how many good sponsors have we had? Like Naman, just no Toyota or Holland. I think we ended up parting ways with Holland, but at some point, I don't know. Because they were Holland here.
Yeah, I know we parted ways, you're right.
Yeah, and then
we parted ways with Holland.
Replaced with Toyota, which is a very big brand. Toyota, big brand in SA. So but asayiboni leyo mali being spent ebadlalini. We still see Chiefs chipping out, going after free agents. Do you actually think, bruh, as a
Our club, guys. Now that's a good question, though. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's actually a good point. This is unfortunately reality now. Injabulo yethu it lasted for only a while because we can singajabula ukuthi sinemali, but how we spend it as well. And you remember in the past we've always spent badly at the same time. For me, I'm not saying Billiard was a bad deal, but we panicked by it, right? Parker, we panicked by it because we bought these guys at the time of their careers where they left the country. Parker left the country, came from I think FC2 or wherever, Wabuya, and we bought him with the status of him having experience in Europe, and he was earning. He was one of the guys who was earning big salaries, right? Fine, he did contribute in terms of cups and all that. But we have this thing of buying these big name players that are more of not necessarily they are a shell of what they were before, but we still pay the same price tag because we're expecting that one player to be the change in our club.
And you are right. You are right. So many big players have been bought to Guti, but they don't have assistants. It's only this previous season where we bought a group.
Yeah.
No, but continue.
We don't really. Okay. So I think there's an example, I think, connecting with your point, because it's a good point. I would say Mali you haven't gotten in the couple of years that we've been from other sources, but we've always had this ability of not being able to use our resources as well. And at some point, we can't always complain about Sundowns beating us off the market, because when we are supposed to make the deal, when we don't. Instead, we wait for Sundowns to buy them, or the contract expires, or they have to renew. That's when you can buy, because you can only offer them a salary, but you can't actually pay that amount of money for them to come to us. So that's something, and that's the change that Pirates has made. Pirates is now buying now. They're not doing that funky thing that we're doing, that we're buying from Zimbabwe, buy one, get one free kind of thing. Remember, whatever players that from Zimbabwe have been bringing here. Who's the striker that we had? Knowledge Musona. And we had that. Unfortunately enough, we were lucky every time when we were making those deals that we actually were getting star players out of those deals, right? But now, football has changed, and I think our brand needs to also move with the times. That at some instances, when we have that a bit of capital, what now Zwane is trying to do, it is a in the long run, where they start with profiling before you sign a checkbook.
Sure.
Profile the player, negotiate, do it in time, use your scouts well, and develop at the same time. So you have that gel of being able to spend or anything like that, where we ask when you have a bit of cash, spend it well on young players. And if there's a player who's maybe at the peak of 28, 29 or over 30, let it be an exceptional player, like Abu Tembazwane, for example, where we are willing to offer them because we know they can add value, because when we've profiled them, they come with a good CV. So that's our mistakes in the past, where we panicked because we just wanted short-term solutions, because we just wanted to win a cup or two and make our fans happy. So I think and hope that with having Uzwane and his technical team, what they are doing for me is good. And I know other people have an indifference with, but why do you make people trial? Why do you make people what's to assess? Because if you've seen them, you just have to know that we'll take them or not. No, we're trying to understand if they fit into our system. So for me, to answer your question, it's a yes or no. It's yet to be seen, but there are signs are there that now we're not just buying, we are profiling first. So that maybe can give us an idea of how management can be able to spend a bit of money that we have at the moment.
No, that's really up to management. Now, interesting. Well, not interesting. I have a question for you, because Veles we now have this and this deal. Yoguti will be coming back to our podcast. Welcome the resident fan, everyone. Walter. So In wrapping up, we're not wrapping up. We are wrapping up. World Cup. Out of topic, as Kulumge Chiefs, but World Cup. Who are you backing?
Yeah.
Who's going to win? What have you thought of the African teams? Go.
Hey man, Mina, I'm a Messi fan, and I support Argentina, and he's done exceptionally well. So hopefully, we'll 16. I think Padala against Australia today.
Yeah.
So backing them. I imagine the teams that I backed, the others, Belgium, they're out,
Belgium.
and Spain as well. Belgium is out, but they didn't have a good tournament. So far, and even Brazil, man, I hope they actually get to semis because they looked quite solid this time around with the players that they have. You know, it's not even the golden generation, but the young players that they have, I think they could cause an upset. But what I can say, besides mentioning teams, this has been a very unpredictable World Cup. A lot of upsets. Small teams are coming in. These Asia teams, Japan, South Korea, and all that, they are surprising us. Even African teams. I mean, Morocco did good. Senegal did good. Australia as well. And African teams, we've done exceptionally well. Cameroon won against Brazil yesterday. In Morocco as well, qualified in that group. I think it's Morocco. I didn't see Tunisia. I saw Senegal. And Ghana is out, right, in the Cameroon. So African teams are doing exceptionally. North African teams, to be particular, they've been doing very well. So kudos to them. So for me, it would be nice to see one African team in the semis. And it's very. But to be fair and honest, this is a very unpredictable World Cup. For me, if I were to call it, it would be a team that you wouldn't expect. Not your favorites or your so-called favorites, because because these obvious games where you're supposed to win, so if France is a corner, so most of the favorites are out. So let's see, man. But it's been very interesting. I don't want to lie.
Maybe we should get to Betway to sponsor this channel.
Yes, actually, please.
One team I'm concerned about is France. I don't want France to win the World Cup. Mbappe is big-headed too much. I don't want him to win by any means. I don't want him to win. Mbappe.
Hey, but he's big. He's a big player, though.
He is.
That guy, he's arrogant, but let's give it to him, guys.
No, he's good. Now he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. Yeah, but we'll take nothing from him when it comes to his abilities. It's just that I don't like when players are always causing controversy that's unnecessary and they are now kings around everyone. So I just don't like those kind of things because I believe Guti players, for them to perform at their best, anyone really to be at their best, they must be surrounded by people who value everyone. It's not like there's someone who's big and there are others who are small. But yeah, I want Brazil to win because I feel like people don't respect to Neymar. People hate to Neymar for no reason. Namanje is injured because they kicked him. They don't respect to Neymar. Neymar plays a lingi bola bafethu. I'm a Messi fan, but I Neymar mina ngenzela one kakhulu. If flair ka Neymar, he's nowhere near Messi, but just to watch him play, it's that thing.
He's a top player. Let's be fair, he's a top player. You can tell his technical ability is second to none. He reminds you of a bit of a Ronaldinho kind of thing. His football brain, the way he thinks, it's very beautiful to watch. And these kind of generational players, it's one of those players where it'll take a generation to have such players like Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo, and all those things. You have good players. Great players actually at this point in time, right? As you can see, these young stars go Netherlands. I think Germany had Spain, Baba. The midfielders, Abu Kevin, Abu Page. But Abu Neighbor, those are special players.
Yeah.
They are special players where, like I said, it's like your Pele, Abu Marathon. They come every once in a generation, and it's so beautiful to watch him play the football that he plays now. It's just that I think, when it comes to the stage where he is at the moment, the World Cup has grown. Football has been so. In Brazil, by the virtue of back in the day, yeah, they were always the Samba boys and being able to win. It's just that now football has evolved in a way, so it's going to be tough for them. I don't wanna lie, but what I saw with them, they won Guma games where it was really tight. It wasn't really about, even if they were the favorites in that game, but they dug deep to be able to win those games and come back with the result. That's where I started respecting them. Like, yeah, no, Brazil is here to play. Brazil is here to play. So for me, I give them. Since I'm a Messi fan, like I said, if you said Tibana Baba, Argentina all the way.
I have another session that I'm about to record, but thank you so much for joining me once again, Walter. We'll be making one of these videos again in the near future. But final thoughts before we end the show, not the stream.
Yes. Yeah, for me, again, December, first of all, happy festive seasons to everyone. And at least now it's going to give us a nice time, because what I love about the World Cup, it gave us the opportunity as well. Before the year ends, we're going to watch our first game, May 31st, December. Chiefs have started training already, so it's going to be interesting with the signings, the rumors that the stories that you're following are going to be interesting. So this channel as well is going to help us a lot to keep in touch, have conversations, speculations, and all that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I love these sessions, and yeah, let's keep on tuning in for the guys who are there and keep on having these nice conversations. It's actually a nice thing. So sharp.
Walter, thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you on the next video. And until next time, come on, Walter, remember, Ikosi. Alpelumoya.